Hello, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Tiffany and this is Hint to Life Homeschool, and today's video is going to be all around what is in my homeschool basket, my morning time basket, why I love morning time so much, why it's so important for us to not miss it, and how I go about planning it as well. I'm going to take you through exactly what I have at the moment, what we've been using, what we've been enjoying, but I'm also going to kind of delve into like what is morning time, what is a morning time basket or homeschool basket or book basket. It's called many different things, and essentially it's around the same principle, and I'll talk a little bit about why I really feel that it is a fantastic starting point when you start to homeschool, and I'll explain why it has helped our family so much personally as well, and I'll just give you an kind of all-round explanation around how you could bring it into your homeschool if you aren't doing it already, some different ideas that maybe might help you kind of make morning time a little bit more fun in your homeschool, and just my general views on what morning time means and what it's all about for our family as well. Off with the most important thing when it comes to a morning time basket, and it's not the basket, and it's not even really what's in the basket that is the most important thing. The important thing is that you're getting your family together, whether it be around a table, around a coffee table, on the floor, on the lounge. It really doesn't matter where or how you get together. It's just the fact that you're together as a family and you're connecting. That is the key for me. That's what really matters when it comes to a morning time. And it's really about, it's so simple, but it's so powerful. Connecting with the family at the very beginning of your day before you start any, formal lessons, informal lessons, going outside, doing anything in particular. For me, morning time has been around that connection for our family. And that's really important for us because sometimes, you can get through half of the morning without even looking at each other in the eye. And that connection is just so important. And it's something that can really set our day. And when we haven't connected as a family, we tend to be more short with each other. We might not realize that, someone's got a headache or is just not feeling quite right. Or perhaps someone is struggling a little bit more with some strong emotions or feelings around something that happened the previous day, or someone's anxious about something coming up. Those are the things that we get out in the open in our morning time. So the very first thing that I do when we sit down, whether it be at the table, we usually do at the dining table or in the living area around our coffee table on the floor. The first thing that we do is I just say, how are you? And I look at my son and I go, how are you today? And we've spoken. It's not like we're seeing each other for the first time that morning, but that's the kind of thing, when you kind of, when you greet each other in the morning, it's kind of just like, oh, good morning, how are you? And it's like, oh yeah, we're fine. But when you're really purposefully looking at someone in the eye and going, how are you? Like, what's going on? How are you? And it makes them really think about, am I okay? How am I feeling today? What's going on? And just that, reiterating around that connection with themselves as well. So that's been a really big thing for us, and I think it's a really important thing for us, for me personally. It's very important to me for my kids to kind of really connect with themselves and think about, how am I feeling today, and connecting with those feelings, because kids get distracted and they've got a million things that they want to do and achieve and all of that sort of stuff, and without even thinking, oh, I'm not feeling great today, and they're getting frustrated because something's not working, and if they've already connected with the fact that they're not feeling great today, or they've got a headache, or in my son's my son has Tourette syndrome, and he's struggling with movements, that can really affect your day. And if you've already connected with that feeling and going, okay, this is something that is bothering me, this is something that hurts, that can make the rest of the day just seem that little bit easier, to be able to go, okay, I'm not feeling good, or this is hurting, and that's why I'm struggling with this particular thing that I'm doing. I'm going to come back to this later, or I'm going to ask for help. And opposed to perhaps it's spiraling out of control, tempers flaring, and ultimately ending in someone being very upset, or everyone being very upset. So morning time is very, very important for first connecting with one another. And I do that with my daughter, and individually we go around and we talk to each other and we connect with how we're feeling and what's going on. And then the next thing that I ask is, what are your plans for the day? So they know that obviously we're doing school, we do school every day, and we have those things that we always do, and that's part of our rhythm. So when I'm asking them that question, they actually know that's not what I'm meaning. They know that it's, what are your projects for the day? We always have something that we're building or creating, and that is what we go to when we've finished any formal lessons, any projects that we're working on, unit studies, all that sort of stuff. Once those things are, we've done those and had our fun together, then we kind of go on to our own personal projects. And for me, it's working. I work in the afternoons. We tend to start school early in the morning, and we do our school stuff and hang out together. We do our connection and homeschool basket, obviously, and then I go to work. So I usually tell the kids and share with them, okay, today I'm checking with our beta testers for Freely, and we're going to be having a meeting around this, or I'm going to be doing a video for them to explain a new feature. And the kids are really interested in that, and they'll ask questions and I'll explain what I'm doing, and then they know that mum's got this that she's planning on doing later, and I don't have to say any more. And then Riley will be like, well, she's really into creating poppets, her own poppets, which are the cutest thing ever. And she created them completely from recycled materials that we've had from craft, and she loves it. So she might say that she's going to be spending her time doing that. So you can see her in her room, and she's got all of her stuff, all the supplies are laid out, and she's got this whole system that she's creating these things. So that's her for the afternoon. And Isaac's creating something, making something, playing Minecraft with his friends, whatever it is, it's their project time. This, but essentially it's novel, and morning time will start off with kind of just relaxing, getting really comfy and warm because it's winter at the moment. So we get some blankets out, pillows, whatever it is we need. And I sit and I read. Sometimes I can read for an hour and a half, and they're just chilling and really into it, doing puzzles, getting, fidget toys, or what else do they do? Puzzles are a really big thing in our house at the moment when I'm reading. We've just recently gotten some magnet tiles, borrowing from a friend. So they're making little things with magnet tiles or blocks, things like that. We tend to do. It allows them to really get into it kind of seems like they're not listening when they're building stuff, but they can just tell back like, oh gee, I really liked it when such and such said this in the story, and like they're listening, they're super listening. So don't ever be afraid. If your children are moving, that's usually when a good sign that they're taking in the information. Don't be afraid to let morning time be something where they're physically moving around and free to kind of do things that they want to do. So yes, so hour and a half, sometimes it's 30 minutes. It really depends on that connection and what we've discussed earlier when we start the morning time. So that's our novel. So I usually start with that. And then after we've done that, we're kind of officially starting like our formal learning, or it's not really formal. I guess it's as formal as it gets fast anyway. So then we've got our conversation cards. So I use these in many different ways. It depends on like what I've got planned for the rest of the day. If we've got some big projects that we're doing, I tend to just grab one of these out and I'll shuffle them, and then I'll place them out and I'll go, just pick one, and they'll pick one card. And it's usually a question. So this one's finish the sentence, I wish. So they would take this card and grab their journals and they would write the answer. Sometimes I get them to write the answer. So they'll go, they'll put in the question and then they'll write down the answer to that. So with their own personal answers. And so each of them would get one of these cards that they've picked, and they would go and do that. And then we'd read them out together and, you know, have a little laugh, or, you know, give our opinions on what we would do differently and all that sort of thing. So that's a really great connection thing. These are Social Seeds cards. You can get them on, I think they're on Instagram. Well, they're definitely on Instagram. I'll give the link in the box below. Other ways we've used these conversation cards is by actually playing the game. So there's some instructions in there to play the game. I think it's five cards, and you sit around and you kind of pick up a card and you get asked a question, or you get a prompt of some kind, and then you kind of use it like playing cards. So that's a really nice one if you've got a little bit more time, or we're just kind of really wanting to just relax and, you know, start the day slow. So that's something that we've been doing a lot of. So the theme that we've got going on at for our morning time is puberty, and that has literally, I ditched my other plans. I had some other things that we were working on, but I ditched them because I started getting a lot of questions from both of the kids in regards to the changes that are going on, and how they're just growing up so fast. And puberty has been one of those things that I've kind of been collecting curriculum and bits and pieces to kind of start a bit of a unit study on, because that's our personal preference on how we study things. And that has been something that I really wasn't sure about how I'd feel with us learning together, or whether it'd be one-on-one, and they're really enjoying learning it together. It works really, really well. So yes, so what was I saying? I've got, so we do novel, cards, or kind of game type thing. Then I usually grab just a couple of books. Like we've been a little bit busy, so we haven't got into the library, but I usually grab a couple of like picture books and fun things that might be around that kind of theme. So this is one that I've actually purchased. This is questions and answers about growing up, and it's a lift the flap. Oh, I can't talk today. It's a lift the flap book, and it's quite good. It's like, how long can hair grow, and how fast am I growing, and how tall will I be, or why are babies so small? And it gets into the nitty gritty. There's lots of interesting things. Wash myself, go to bed, deep voices. So, you know, then you can open up boys' voices going deep is one of the signs they're becoming men. And then it goes on to kind of give them more scientific. Their vocal cords get thicker and their voice boxes get bigger. It makes them sound more grown up. So yeah, this has been a bit fun to just put out on the coffee table, and they can kind of, as they want to, if they see something that kind of strikes their interest, they can actually investigate it. So that's a really good one that we do. And within that theme also, I've got Pippin Girl, Remarkable. And this is more of a book than a magazine. And I'll show you why, because it is absolutely stunning. This is Australian, but I'm pretty sure that they post internationally. And I love the stories in this. And I read this to my daughter and my son together because I think it's really, really important. But I also got these amazing, I guess you would call them a journal or it's kind of a learning guide. And I've got one for each of my children. So yeah, so a girl's guide to puberty and a guy's guide to puberty. Similar stories in here with the intros and outros and all that sort of stuff. But essentially it's got, you know, the personal information in there as well. So these are a really gentle way. It's fairly interactive in the sense that they can, you know, sketch in there and answer some questions and have some thought-provoking questions in there about how they feel about growing up. And these are designed to be done with a person that they trust, and they've already decided right at the beginning of the book. It asks, you know, it explains what a person, you know, an adult, a grown-up that you can trust is, who they, you know, could be and potentially, and, you know, goes in around how you feel when you talk to that person, how you think that they respect you, all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was really, really good. So that's what we're working on. And we spend a little bit of time doing these specific journals, probably more than the other journaling that we usually do in our morning time. Obviously, we've got these nature journals. We have put these off because of the, we still kind of do them. Sometimes the kids will grab them out and work on these because they're just beautiful colouring in and nature observations, and gives you some kind of like draw a tree kind of things, prompts, I guess. It's more of a prompt book. So the kids might grab these out when I'm reading as well. So that's always a really good thing to have in there still. The other thing, so I usually always try to keep a poetry book as well. The kids really like writing poems, and I mean, not that there's a couple in here that are rhyming, but the point is that they like plays on words, and they like listening to poetry. So I try to kind of, you know, at least do one of those a week, and include that within like weekly. So we don't get to it quite as often because we've got a lot of other stuff that we're focusing on at the moment, but this is kind of more of a rhythm about how we approach our morning basket. Those are the kinds of things that we really like to focus on in our morning time. Again, it's going to look different for your family. You have different values or different things that you need to work on and your kids need to work on, but this is what works for our family. This is what's really helping. I really like incorporating little games, little strategies of getting people that might be a little bit grumpy or a little bit upset or feeling a little bit yucky out of their shells and talking about how they're feeling. And this is a really great one. There's lots of different kinds of conversation cards you can get. These are one of my favorites. You know, journals are fantastic, but sometimes a blank page can be really scary. So prompt journals are fantastic. There's also drawing prompt journals as well. Drawing how you feel can be amazing, but essentially the general pattern with my morning time tends to be coming from a place of mindfulness, mindset, making sure these little people of ours are built up and feeling really strong and comfortable and connected with us. And that's how I kind of achieve it. And 9 times out of 10, it works. 9 times out of 10, you know, even if we're just feeling really yucky and it's really cold and wet like today, we do our morning time and we're ready to take on the day. And it really just helps even turn my mindset and motivation around. Even, you know, us mamas, I've had trouble with sleeping and all sorts of things going on at the moment, and I find this grounds me as well. It's kind of like a Monday morning pep talk or coffee session with a friend. It's the same thing with my kids, and it's just wonderful. So I hope that this gives you a couple of ideas of what you can do with your family in your morning basket. There are so many different ways that you can do it, and I think the most important thing is stay true to you and your family. I know it could be really great to get some music in there, because I know essentially, like traditionally, I think there's music appreciation, poetry appreciation, Shakespeare type stuff, drama, all of that kind of stuff can be worked into these baskets. But essentially you need to really I think the key is to keep it minimal, keep it as simple as possible. This is a little, we've got a lot going on here, but it still works for us because we've been doing it for a while. But when I first started, it was 3 things. I'd usually do something like this, a journal, and then our novel. Always novel. I've never ever not done a novel. Grab some other picture books mixed amongst it as well. Sometimes we'd just read the picture book and not the novel, but it was always kind of reading that we started with. Okay, so a couple of reasons why morning time works so well for us. I think I've already established that morning time works really well for us because of that connection that it brings us. But it's also, it starts our day, it eases us into the day as well. So that is kind of setting off our rhythm for the rest of the day, because we know after our morning time basket, we do our kind of one-on-one learning and, book work and kind of things like that. So I find that, and on the days that we actually have things, early in the morning, we will skip our morning time, but when we get home, we generally do our morning time to start the rest of the day of bits and pieces that we might have that we want to finish off, or projects or whatever it is. Essentially, we tend to not miss this part of our day because it is like a ritual, and it does feel a little weird if we don't do it. Even on holidays, we tend to do a book, a read aloud. It feels like morning time still. So that's something that I think that, after a couple of years, it just feels like it's kind of like, if you don't do it, you're missing something really important. And I like that. I think that really helps us have a sense of purpose and around our day. And that's what we work, that's what sets all the other things off. Another reason why morning time is so important to me is because when we first started homeschooling, I really had no idea what I was doing. None of us do, I don't think, but I really didn't know what even homeschooling was. And I made a lot of mistakes and a lot of assumptions around things, and we ended up needing desperately to do a period of time of deschooling. But one thing that really felt good was creating this basket of things that we needed, things that we wanted to do. So Isaac would help me at that time because my daughter was quite young at the time, so she didn't really have too much input. Like, she was just playing with toys and lots of learning through play and that kind of stuff. But we would grab a book, and one of the first books that we read could have possibly been the first book, but it was The Mouse and the Motorcycle. And I still remember this. He still remembers this as well. And it was a fantastic book. It was such a great book. And we kind of just really dove deep into it. And it was, it was crazy. It was a mouse on a motorcycle. Hilarious. But it was just a really nice bonding time after a really difficult couple of years. And our morning times became just soft and gentle and a soft place to fall, and something that was really, really special for us to share. And that kind of set off the love for homeschooling for me. That really opened my eyes to how engaged my kids could be. So the other thing that I really wanted to add with how I go about planning my morning time basket in advance is all around, I think about a theme. And so I've created in Freely kind of like a template to guide me through, so I can kind of think about in advance what sort of things I might need to order, what sort of things I can reserve from the library. Generally, I will purchase things for our morning time basket because they tend to be more seasonal. But in terms of like a novel, we can fly through that a little bit quicker than, you know, for example, a unit study. But yeah, I use Freely alongside our morning basket because not everything is able to be in our basket. I mean, the basket is probably the least important thing when it comes to our morning time. But you know, having a basket to keep everything in just means that you can move it to different areas of your house, and that really works for us. You know, if it's a nice sunny day, which it isn't today, you could go outside on a blanket and there's just nothing more beautiful sitting in the sun and reading through all the things. But the kids always get really excited when we have a season change, because we generally change this as well. But you know, I asked the kids the other day, what is their favorite thing that we're doing at the moment? And it's the puberty study. So out of all the awesome things that we're doing, they're choosing that they're really enjoying the puberty study. So that just goes to show it's in our morning time, and it's just that special time where we're chilling together and learning about our bodies and how they work. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I know I probably talked maybe a little bit too much about what is in the basket. I hope that I've explained well enough how morning time works for us and how it could possibly be incorporated into your homeschool. These things are tough because, I mean, like, when I pick up a book, I have to tell you about it. So this has probably turned into a bit more of a heavy video than I anticipated. So I hope that you've stuck around. Thank you for sticking around to the end if you have. I really do appreciate it. And if you have any questions about anything that I've shown you today, or I've missed something in the description box, let me know. I definitely try to link everything, but sometimes it's, you know, overlooked or I've missed it. If you really enjoy, this video, I really would love it if you could like it, and if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell for the notification button, just so you don't miss any other videos as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.